Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel Varanya Pathshala. Today I'm going to talk about the importance of optional subject in the preparation of civil services. So here I will write optional subject. So what is a optional subject? Optional subject is a subject which we have to choose while we are preparing for the civil services. And to prepare for this optional subject, we have to have a keen interest in understanding the principles, basics, and from there developing bottom to top approach, understanding the every aspect of this subject. So understanding the basics, understanding the basics. And as we know, while studying in our school, when we study any subject, we need to know about some specific terms which are related to that particular subject. So second will come as related specific terms. Now, see, we have to understand that when we will be able to understand the basic terminology of a subject, we will be able to build the complete picture or the complete structure on that foundation. So after understanding this specific terms or specific topics, we'll be developing step by step the foundation of our subject. So here it will come as foundation of our subject. Now, so the basic question which comes in the mind of a student is how to select this optional subject. How to select, this is a question, how to select optional subject. See, while selecting an optional subject, you need to have three things in your mind. First is your interest. Interest in the subject. Second, you have to understand that whether you are able to relate your subject to the current happenings which are occurring in the society. So, are you able to relate your subject to the present situation? So, relation of the subject. Relation of the subject. Well, after understanding these 2 points, first is whether you have the interest in the subject. Okay, suppose we have interest in a subject named as sociology. Second, whether are we able to relate the concepts in sociology to the present happenings which are occurring in the society. To that context, I will give you an example, the concept of suicide. As we are seeing that nowadays, the number of suicide cases in India are occurring very rapidly, and we are seeing a lot of suicides happening now and then. So that is a sociological issue which has to be understood from a sociological perspective. After understanding that relation of the subject in the present context, in the present context, Are we able to relate or present our context in a particular answerable format? That is the important thing, because we have to write answers in the mains exam. So presentation of answers. Presentation of answers in our writing. So before selecting an optional subject, we have to ponder and we have to think about whether we have these 3 points in our mind. First, whether we have an interest in that particular subject. Second, what is the relation of the subject in the present context? Are we able to relate the theory or the context of that subject in the situation, in the present situation? And third, whatever knowledge or information we have gained while reading that particular subject, are we able to present that in our writing? After thinking about these 3 points, 1, 2, and 3, if we come to a conclusion that okay, we will be doing justice to a subject by following these 3 steps, then only we should select a optional subject. Never select an optional subject depending on the opinion of any topper or by seeing any video where it's seen that or talked about that this subject scores this much marks, because that is a very different thing. Every subject has its own merits. Every subject has its own strength. So we have to select an optional subject based on our understanding and after a thoughtful process. Okay, now let's move on. So while developing and while preparing for an optional subject, first we have to understand the basics. Okay, so this will involve your terminology, and concepts, related specific terms. Like I talked about earlier, every subject has its own terms. Okay, so specific terms we need to understand. Third, foundation of our subject. Like every subject has its own structure. So how this subject is built, we have to understand this foundation. This is the foundation, and here we will build our subject. So basically, to build the foundation of any subject, we will refer to NCERT books. NCERT books. Now we understood. Okay, after these points, now we have to see who are the thinkers related to that subject. Thinkers of the subject. Okay, now after studying about the thinkers, we have to see how to frame the answers of our subject questions. How to frame answers to the questions. So optional subject has to be selected by following this particular criteria, and then the approach in this optional subject will be understanding the basics. Second, understanding the specific terms which are related to that particular subject. Third, building the perfect foundation for our subject on which we'll build the whole subject or the structure of the subject. Then we will, most important thing in this is, we will talk about the thinkers who have studied that particular subject theoretically as well as practically over a long period of time. And this will involve case studies, examples, and many such things. And then we have to think how we are going to frame our answers in the exam so that we score maximum marks. So that will come in how to frame answers to the questions. So this is about the basics in selecting our optional subject. Now I'll be talking about the various optional subjects which are taken by the students in the civil services exam. I will give a few examples. First is public administration. Second, sociology. Third is anthropology. Fourth is economics. History. Then philosophy. And then comes public administration, sociology, anthropology, economics, history, philosophy, and then comes your geography. Now I've just taken a sample of these 7 subjects, and see, each subject has its own dimension and own merits. Okay, so there is no particular thing in saying that okay, you take particular subject as public administration and you will be able to score very high marks. That is not the case. It depends from student to student. So while selecting any of the 7 subjects, you have to think in the way as I have told you in the earlier slide. You have to ponder upon these particular points and see whether which subject you are able to relate yourself, or you will be able to study that particular subject. Because for mains, while we are preparing, we have to deep down into the subject and study that particular subject for a long period of time and a longer duration. So it's not your college exams, or you can say a semester exams that you study for 1 or 2 months and then you just go away with that particular subject. That's not the case. So you have to carry that subject, or you have to love that subject for the entire period till you get the selection. So suppose you choose any of these 7 subjects. So what you have to first do is you read a NCERT book about that subject. Okay. So first step is read the NCERT book. Second point is make notes from the NCERT, short notes. Make short notes. Third is revise those short notes. And fourth is try to write the answers which are given at the back of the NCERT chapter. Try to write the answers. My dear friends, believe me, if you pursue a particular subject by following this strategy in a phased manner or in a particular beautiful process, first reading the NCERT book, making short notes from the NCERT, revise those notes and try to write the answers given at the back of the chapter. Given at the back of the chapter. If you are able to do this and you find yourself happy that you are able to write the answers and you are interested in that subject, then only you should take that decision of carrying that subject for the mains exam. Because while you are doing this, you are able to develop your foundation, which we talked about in the last slide. So when your foundation is built, you just have to build the structure. So if you are able to understand your foundation in this manner, you will be able to carry the whole syllabus of the civil services exam very beautifully and very gracefully. Okay, so this is the process of selecting and reading a NCERT book. Now, many students have a question that when we should select an optional subject. So, it depends on student to student and the perspective that when a student is finally deciding to prepare for the optional. But as per my suggestion or by my experience, while you are studying in the school, and if you find any subject interesting and you make up your mind that you have to prepare for the civil services, maybe in 9th standard or 10th standard, because nowadays this social media platform is providing a lot of opportunity to start your preparation earlier. So you are very lucky to have that information that you can start early in your student life also. So start reading that particular subject in the way that you will be carrying it as an optional paper. So for example, I will share my experience with you. I liked history. As a subject, and in this, modern India was my favorite. Okay, so basically history has three parts: ancient India, medieval India, and modern India. So while studying in 10th standard, I remember I got this modern India very fascinating and interesting. Fascinating and interesting. So what I did was I made a very beautiful notes from it. Note making I did. And as like I kept these notes with me. And when I prepared for civil services exam, I used these notes of modern India in my preparation. And believe me, it helped me a lot. Because the knowledge I gained while studying in the 10th standard, that knowledge was with me or is with me till now. So note making with a subject like which we liked is very important, and we should do it from the beginning. And as I'm going to tell you that note making is an art. Note making is an art. Styles of note making. Now, okay. Now, like these are individual perceptions. Some people like short notes. Some people like long notes. Some students use diagrams and while representing their notes. That is a very good thing. Using diagrams in your notes. Or pictures. Okay. So I just gave you a brief view of how we have to select our optional subject. Now, what we are going to do is, I am going to teach sociology as a subject. Sociology. And what approach we are going to follow is bottom to top. Bottom to top approach. And this series for sociology will be helpful for school going students, college going students, and your civil services preparation, prepare. And anybody interested in understanding the sociological point of view can also view this series. Anybody interested in the subject? Interested in the subject. Okay, so what we are going to follow is bottom to top approach. We are going to follow. We are going to start with NCERT books. Maybe we will be covering two books, class 11th and class 12th. Okay, class 11th and class 12th. Next, we'll be dealing with, after covering these two books, we'll be dealing with sociological thinkers. Sociological thinkers will be talking about Western thinkers, Indian thinkers, both will be covering one by one. After this, we will be talking about case studies. And we will also be covering subject matter in detail. Okay, so this will be my approach while pursuing this subject, and we'll go by stage. And in sociological thinkers, we will be trying to cover every thinker in detail, understanding the sociological point of view of every thinker, and studying thinker in every possible detail. Then we will be seeing the case studies, present scenario, how they are related. Okay, and then the subject matter, what all is syllabus, basically will be covering here. So what I told in the earlier slide was, I'll be building the foundation here, but teaching the NCERT books of class 11th and 12th. And after that foundation, we'll be building that structure. After that foundation, we'll build the structure step by step. So friends, while looking through this series, please have patience, and we'll be dealing very slowly, understanding every concept in detail. and I wish you all the best for the journey, and I will see you in next step. Till then, goodbye and Jai Hind.